I just want to hear about your journey from Nazareth University, 2015. I did my research, all the way through, Pagula Sports and now with the Bills specifically. How did you get to where you are and kind of the decisions that were made and just opening the floor to you?
Cool. So like you said, I graduated from Nazareth University in 2015. My journey in sports started when I was at Naz. I did not go into college wanting to work in sports. Actually, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I went in undeclared. I took a communications class the second semester of my freshman year and like really enjoyed it. And I was like, no, this is a marketable degree. I'll figure it out. And then ended up interning with Naz Athletics my junior year there, and really enjoyed it. So I ended up interning with the minor league baseball team in Buffalo, the Buffalo Bison, so the AAA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. Intern with them between junior and senior year of college, intern with Naz Athletics again senior year, and then was going to graduate from NAS and was like, all right, I guess I want to work in sports. Like, this is cool. I'm enjoying it. Started to focus in on social media a little bit more, like towards the end of my senior year, was helping the sports information director at NAS in my internship with their social media. So I had the opportunity to move to Arkansas. My first question was like, where is Arkansas? Because I had no clue, and moved to Arkansas, worked there for a year with the AA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. It was really cool. I think baseball is my favorite sport. I love football, obviously, but baseball is my favorite sport. Grew up in a baseball family that loved baseball. My cousins played. So um, the Royals actually won the World Series that year, which was cool. And like that team that year had come up through the whole farm system. So that was just neat because like you don't see that with like a lot of teams anymore. So it was just a special organization to be a part of. I loved it. And was there till January of 2016. Moved back to Buffalo, worked for the Bisons, who I had interned with in college, for a year and a half, like a season and half of another season. I was the social media and sponsorships coordinator for the team. So half my job was social media, the other half was tracking all the sponsorship assets. So that was really when social, like you started to see more teams like taking stock in like having someone dedicated to social media. That like I was the first person that was sort of like dedicated to that. That didn't have like a zillion other things on their plate in the organization. So that was an awesome opportunity. I loved it. And I had actually connected with someone from the Sabres in college. And so they had seen that I'd moved back to Buffalo, was working for the Bisons. And Zach Specht, who's our director of social media at the Bills, we actually knew each other from high school. So he had seen that I moved back too. And it was funny. It was during the NFL draft in April of 2017. Pagula Sports was adding someone to their social media team. Zach actually hit me the night of the NFL draft, and I was at a party in the field house for the draft. And he was like, it was one of those things where I was like, hey, haven't chatted with you in a while, but like, not sure if you saw this position, but you should apply. And I was like, okay, like, I'll throw my hat in the ring. Like, I always love the Bills. If you ask anyone who I went to college with, like I just talked about the Bills all the time, loved them. But it was again, it was never something that I was like, my dream job is to work for the Buffalo Bills. Like that, I was never like this is my dream school, my dream job. That I'm just like not that sort of person, I guess. But I ended up getting the role with Pagula Sports. My first title was social media editor. So I started more heavily with the Sabres, the Buffalo Sabres, the NHL team here, and the Buffalo Bandits, the National Lacrosse League team here. And then became more integrated with the Bills like through the years, and my role has evolved to now I'm the social media strategist. I'm just working over with the Bills now and oversee our strategy for YouTube, TikTok, all of our influencer marketing, working with influencers, creators, and overseeing our content strategy for cause and community-based content too. So kind of a little crazy journey. Moved to Arkansas for a hot second and then got to come back and now working for my hometown team. It's like pretty crazy and cool to be in a position with my hometown team, especially in a place like Buffalo where the Bills mean so much to the community.
For sure. Well, yeah, and I mean it's crazy like you were talking about the dream job. It's almost like every job once you get it, unless it's terrible, is like the dream, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like I remember when I got the Steelers job and it was like, this is my dream job. And then I got the Cardinals job and I was like, this is my dream job.
Yes, you
Now with
get
the
in it and it's
Pirates.
like,
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
just, and you're so invested in, the organization, the team and the players. And it's just like there's nothing quite like it.
No, for real. It's like you're integrated in a different way than maybe other departments are by nature of social media and what you're doing. So being so close to that, and especially for me, like being from Buffalo, like it is just so cool every day. Like sometimes like when we'll have I'll have board meetings sometimes in some of the volunteer roles that I'm in, get to host them at the stadium, and then you see people who've never been on the field before, like, oh my gosh. And it reminds you like, oh, this isn't normal what I get to do every day. Like it's a really good reminder of like, man, this is so cool. I get to like it is a dream, like to be able
Yeah.
to live that every day. So
Well, yeah, and it's always good and something, I mean, it's something I probably need to do more of as well. But just like you said, taking a step back and realizing like I can look out my office window and like we're at PNC Park. Like I can see
yeah.
home plate from where like just to be able to, you get so busy and so in the weeds and there's so much
Yes.
going on. It's like just to take a step back and be like,
Yeah.
this is
You have
what
to
I
remind
do.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and it's cool. And honestly, like it's funny, hearing about your role with the bill specifically now. It's like it's funny how things were so broad. And,
Hmm.
when I started with the Steelers, it was like, okay, you do everything. Good luck, like whatever. And
Wearing
then
a
it's like,
zillion hats, have fun.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
like then it got more and more specialized and it kind of
Hmm.
broke apart. And you have people who edit video, you have graphic designers, you have different things going on. But now it's like it's back to the point where it's like even if you're the social media strategist, like you said, there's still like you list off like 10 different things of like influencers and community and like there's still so much within those little not little specialized areas, but like even though it's so specialized, there's so
Hmm.
much that goes into it.
Yeah, and all that it pours into like outside of social, just organizationally as a whole too. It's neat how it all fits together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, another thing I always ask everybody and anyone who's been in multiple positions in different sports, it was such an eye-opening experience coming from football to baseball. And it was
Yeah.
like 7 years in the NFL. It was like, yeah, like I know content, like I know how to do this. Like I'm
Yeah.
confident. And then you walk in the door and they're talking about international signing period and the affiliates and these different things and like roster moves every single day.
Hmm.
And it was just immediately like all of the things that I took for granted in the NFL that you just knew like the back of your hand, I had to relearn all over again. So,
Yeah.
I mean, take me through that. Like you started with baseball, went to the NFL. How was that transition kind of the opposite of what I did?
Yeah, it was, I mean, there's a learning curve going between any sport, like you mentioned, just like the ins and outs of the schedule and um like the different things that you need to be tracking on social and like posting, like just like purely like newsworthy stuff. I think the biggest change for me was going from so many games to like I cut out so many games going the opposite way. So it was funny when I started because I was going and working games for Bills, Sabres, and Bandits. And I was like adding it up. I'm like, I could work every Bills, Sabres, and Bandits home and away games, and it's still less games in the baseball season. Cause like my first boss when I started at Pagula Sports was like, I just don't want you to get burnt out. I'm like, you don't understand. Like I would work 10 game homestands. Like I would not see my family and friends for a week. It would be like, all right, there's a homestand. I'm out. Like, see you guys next week when the team is on the road. So that was like a nice adjustment coming from baseball. And obviously that was a different time. That was, you know, 7 years ago now that like teams are more built out and you have more support, but like coming where I was at the time in social media and being like the person, and I had support there too, but like there's even more support now I think, and especially in social media departments with teams, like organizations are investing in that, so you have a better balance. But it was a nice transition for me to come from the baseball side to going to like football, hockey, lacrosse. It was neat. I was a football and hockey fan. I was a lacrosse fan too, but I think lacrosse was the biggest learning curve for me just to like learn the ins and outs of the game. It's sim box lacrosse is similar to ice hockey and like the pace and transition and things like that. So it's like pretty similar game. But even just learning like the culture of each of the sports are all very different. So like personalities of players in football versus hockey versus lacrosse, like lacrosse players, most of them have day jobs, and like hopefully it gets to a point where the league grows where like they're doing it, like some guys are doing it full time. But hopefully it gets to the point one day where that league grows and this is like sustaining people and that's their career. But like guys in that league truly just play for the love of the game because they sacrifice a lot because they're away from their families every single weekend playing because they only play on the weekend. So just culturally too, seeing the differences between the leagues was really interesting to be exposed to and learn, and then how that feeds into the strategy too, just because football is a lot bigger, like loud personalities, like aren't as afraid to show that on social media, whereas hockey culture, like personalities, and this is thankfully like I think you're seeing way more personality in hockey now, but when I started, it was like players, it was all about the like team on the front, not the name on the back. And it's great that you're seeing way more personality now, but like that was definitely a transition because I think even in baseball, like there was more personality back then that you saw from players, especially in minor leagues. And then as guys were like going up to the big leagues and everything like that was just a different dynamic having the farm system too. So um go like transitioning from that was very interesting. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, a lot of
The
different exposure to all different sports and cultures and players, and even like players from different countries and everything, like international players. So that was had that in hockey. Lacrosse is primarily Canadian, so it's just yeah, very interesting. It's
it's
cool all the different exposure I had to so many different people from so many different places.